even at 100 times the anticipated dosage level on a relative per kilogram basis, going from animals to humans, we came through with flying colors.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. Joining me now is David Regan. He's the CEO of Sona Nanotech. And David, it's great to have you back again. How are you?
Thank you, Steve. Doing great today. Thanks for having me again.
Good stuff. Well, another key milestone for the company met today is you've achieved the safety regulation for your gold nanorod therapy platform. So tell me a little bit about the work that went into this and what this exactly means.
Sure. Well, I guess the first thing to point out is that we've always said, look, our gold nanorods, this is our core material for our cancer therapy, are biocompatible, and they are by design. They're uniquely made, unlike any others in the world, without the use of a particular toxin. So while we've always said that, that's great. But from an FDA, from a regulator perspective, whether it's FDA or Health Canada, they need to see certain standards of studies done to show that there's no toxic effect at various dosage levels that would be anticipated in a therapy.
Yeah. And so this was a needed step that you had to have. I know it took a long time to get to this. So now that you have this, what does that mean moving forward? How do you sort of take this and then take the next step?
Well, looking into this study a little bit further, I'll tell you, just let me mention that, there were sort of three cohorts of animals done
Yeah.
to do low, medium, and high standards of dosing, so that in a worst case scenario, regulators want to see what the effect is. And as we've highlighted in our press release, even at 100 times the anticipated dosage level on a relative per kilogram basis, going from animals to humans, we came through with flying colors. And so that's really important. And it's important because what we seek to do, and we're, as you know, on the cusp of a clinical trial in humans first. And of course, it's important because the current standard of care for solid tumors in most cases is immunotherapy. And immunotherapy, of course, has had some incredible beneficial effects, but it still only gets a response rate between 3 and 35% of cases, depending on the type of cancer. However, what's also not known is that there is a toxic effect associated with those immunotherapies. Nothing like radiation or chemo, perhaps. They're a big step function forward, but we believe we're then the next step forward that could have something with no toxic effect.
And David, just so people understand, this is a common step that has to take place. There's nothing specific about what you're doing. The US FDA has rules. They have levels that you get to, and they have things you have to do before you get to certain points. So this is just a natural part of the process, right?
That's it. And when we sat with them and had something called a pre-submission meeting with them, and we lay out our plan. Here's what we intend to provide to you in terms of the safety data and efficacy data. Frankly, they're a lot less concerned about the efficacy data. All they're mandated to understand is that we're not going to hurt anyone, of course. So the emphasis is really on the safety data from a regulator perspective. And we laid out that program, and there was a bit of back and forth and very helpful. And so that defined our process. And this study that we've released today was a key element of that. And it was not good enough for us to do that in our own lab. It has to be done at an FDA certified lab to an FDA certification level, and in a certain manner.
How good does it feel to get this finally done? I know it was a lot of work.
It's great. Look, every one of these steps. So you've been patient with us as our investors have, but we said early on we'd be building a mountain of data to support this, and that's exactly what we have done. And we're excited because it's a compelling mountain of data, and it's going to be very, very beneficial when we go to regulators looking for a clinical trial in the US and in Canada. Those are going to be really, really important to have, and so it feels great to have them, particularly with having passed with such flying colors, as I say.
David, thanks so much. Great to see you again. Appreciate the update.
No problem. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right, David Regan, the CEO of Sona Nanotech.